What's up guys, Phil coming at you with another awesome Weiss Schwarz deck profile, and once again we're doing another work in progress deck profile, very similar to the Kurumi one we did a couple of weeks ago, or even like a month ago now I feel. This is going to be a deck profile for Toka Yatogami and Shidou Itsuka based on Card of the Day reveals up to the 16th of June 2020, as well as Toka's cards from the Fujimi Fantasia Bunko set that was released last year. Of course, any new cards released after or revealed after the 16th of June will not be included in this deck profile, as of course, they aren't out, didn't know about them. But of course, as new cards get revealed, we are updating the decks, and they did have a Kurumi deck planned that I was going to show you guys. Then she got new cards today, so obviously I'm reworking that deck. If you guys like this content, please remember to give it a thumbs up. Leave your comments below what you think of the Daily Life cards in general for this set. I think it's going to be a really, really fun set. What your favorite character is in Data Live, and of course, what your favorite card is. And if you like the content as well, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It really does help a lot. We're almost at 300 subs, and I cannot wait till we get there. Now that's out of the way, guys. Let's jump into the profile, and hopefully you guys do enjoy it. Starting things off with our grade zeros, we have 4 copies of Sky Splitting Sword Toka. She's a Date Spirit, and we can bounce her back to our hand when we play a Climax to give one of our characters 1000 power until the end of our opponent's next turn. She's also a Brainstorm. We can pay 1 and rest 2 of our characters to mill 4 and search for a Date or Spirit from our deck to hand for every Climax we hit. Now the bounce effect seems a bit weird, but it does help power up our level 1 Climax combo, as it technically does need to reverse. I'll mention the technically in more detail when we get to it. It's nice that Toka does have her own Brainstorm, and the rest too isn't too much of a problem, as she does have that back row from the Bunko set. Next up, we have our first Shidou card in the set. We have 3 copies of the Itsuka Shidou. Now, this card seems like it's going to pretty much be a staple in most builds, because it's actually a really powerful card. So it is a Date trait, not Spirit, obviously, and it has an auto effect. When it enters battlefield, we can choose one of our opponent's characters, which choose up to one of our opponent's characters, put it into his memory, and then your opponent will play that character from memory on stage. Now, if it's up to, we don't have to. I assume it is a bit of a weird ability unless there's some combo that comes out in the future card. Its activated ability is we can pay 1 and sack him, and then we can look at the top 4 cards of our library, add a Date or Spirit character from there to our hand, and put the rest in the waiting room. So it's basically a sack Akatsuki, and we can use it to basically reset an opponent's character, I guess. So if they do have some protection or something like that, I guess they can help get rid of it, but we mostly play it for the mill, which is very, very nice. Next up, like the aforementioned back row Toka from the Bunko trial deck, it is Toka Mysterious Girl. She gives all characters in front 500 power, and when we play a Climax, we can choose one of our characters, and that character will gain 1000 power. She doesn't have Date trait, but she does have Spirit trait. Next up, we have 2 copies of A Moment in Spring Toka, another Date Spirit. Although when she reverses an opponent in battle, we can choose one of our other Date or Spirit characters, rest it, and move it to an empty area in our back row. Her other effect is when she gets reversed, she gets bottom decked. Now, of course, you may be wondering why she has this back row move effect. Well, essentially, if you don't have another beat stick character that you want to attack with, or that you know will live the turn, you can attack with it. You can use this to reverse the opponent's character, and then you can put your other card in the back row. So, of course, you have, your 2 aforementioned Tokas and the Shidou we're about to take a look at. Copies of Happened Yesterday Shidou. It is a Date trait with 500 power, and of course he is from the Trial Deck Plus, so he is the Token Apples combo. He gives our Day of the Date Toka plus 2000 power during our turn. Doesn't give it cross turns like some of the older apples, but it is nice. That is a good way to make stock and save hand with this particular combo. The last 4 grade 3s that we play, grade 0s that we play in the deck are 4 copies of Against Human Toka. It is from the trial deck, and it's probably one of the best cards in the trial deck. So when it's placed from hand to stage, check top card of your deck. If it's a Date or Spirit, you can add it to your hand, then ditch one. Its other effect is you can discard a Date or Spirit character when it enters the stage to draw a card. Because they both activate at the same time, you can choose the order, so it is basically a Risu from Other Master Cinderella Girls, but on a trial deck card, so very, very nice. Moving on to our grade 1s. First off, we have 4 copies of Innocent Important Promise Toka. It is our level 1 Climax combo, and as long as we have 2 or more other Date or Spirit characters, she gets plus 2k power, and that is cross turn, so she's immediately going to sit at a 6k base. So it's a Climax combo with our book trigger, which is In the Town Died with the Setting Sun, and then during our Encore phase, if that Climax is in our Climax area and we have another Date or Spirit character, and the adjacent character is reversed or not a character, we get to look at the top 5 cards of our deck, add a Date or Spirit character to our hand, put the rest in the waiting room, and give her 500 power until the end of our opponent's next turn. Now, when it says is a character or not, basically, this is a good way around opponents reversing their field into your level 1 Climax combos that have on reverse effects, so that you won't be able to plus. The good thing about this is as long as this is attacking and in the Encore phase, as long as the Climax is there, yeah, you're going to be able to do the combo whether the character's reversed or empty. Of course, if Toka dies, then obviously you can't do the combo. Being able to check top 5 is really useful. Really easy way to mill your deck. If you have 3 of them, you're going to check top 15. Great combo right there. And of course, other ways to make this bigger if you want to. Of course, we have our back row Bunko, Toka, Mysterious Girl, and of course we do have our Brainstormer, which can bounce to our hand to give her extra power. This can also be a good way to protect our Brainstormer from any characters our opponents have that might shoot our back row cards. Continuing on to with level 1, we have 4 copies of our Apple's Target for Toka, and that is Day of the Date Toka. It is just a 5/5 vanilla, that of course will become a 7/5 in our own turn. Is essentially our level 1 beat stick. Last off, for level 1, we have 2 copies of the Toka event. Now, I both love and hate this card at the same time. It's very fitting with Toka, which of course is something we see with a lot of the cards from the Data Life set. They're very thematic themed around the characters, which I like. So it's called Special Weren't Already Enough. We put all our stock in our waiting room, and we pick one of our characters with Toka in its name until the end of the turn. It gets plus X power, where X is the number of cards put into our waiting room by this effect times 1,000, and she also gets Bodyguard. Now, if you're not familiar with Bodyguard, it's an ability that forces our opponent's characters to attack it. Attack the character with Bodyguard, no matter where they are, despite what we have on the field, which is really powerful in specific situations, as Toka does have some pretty beefy grade 3s. The downside of this event is it does destroy your stock, but our Toka deck isn't super stock intensive at level 3. Anyway, it does need some, but if you can pull this off at level 1, it can be really funny nonetheless. And it's a good counter to the Kurumi, because if they're going to put the Kurumi out, you can just play this, destroy your stock before they do, and you'll get more benefit out of it than you would if the Kurumi existed. Next up, 2 copies of the Toka box topper, Complicated Feelings. So, of course, Date Spirit. When it enters the stage from hand, you choose the opponent's character in the front row. Till the end of your opponent's next turn, it gets plus 1k power. And then when she attacks during this turn, she gets plus X, where X is the number of your opponent's characters times 1,000. Of course, if you stand by this out, you don't have to give the power. And we are playing standby in this deck, as we do have at least 4 grade 2s in this deck. And being able to get a lot of power can be very useful, especially if we need to beat over some problematic early plays that our opponents may play. Another way we have to deal with problematic early plays is Toka Innocent Princess. Of course, this is from the Bunko set. So for each of your other back row characters with Bunko or Spirit, so the only relevant trait here is going to be Spirit, she gains plus 1/5 power, and then the ability activates once per turn when you use a startup ability like a Brainstormer. You get to give her plus X power till the end of the turn, where X is the number of other characters with Spirit or Bunko trait. Obviously, not many of our characters in this deck have Bunko trait. I believe it's just her and Toka Mysterious Girl, but the Spirit trait is relevant. Unfortunately, she will not get power if we have Shidou chilling in the back row, so we definitely do have to be careful about that. This card can get pretty big really quickly, and is a great way to deal with some early plays. Next up, we have our last 2 cards from the Bunko set, and it's one of my favorites. It is Love of the Devil. It is a 2/0 event counter that we can play to remove a trait from our opponent's field. Playing against Persona 5, get rid of Phantom Thief. Playing against an idle deck, get rid of Music Trait. And whilst that doesn't work for a lot of decks, obviously getting rid of Music Trait doesn't hinder all idle-themed or music-themed decks, it definitely can hinder very specific decks, which is why this card is very useful. It's also a counter, so you can play it in your opponent's turn, and it's an event, so you can play it in your turn. Whilst light novel readers will know that this is technically not Toka, it technically is Toka. It's a bit confusing. It's definitely, as far as most people know, it is inverse Toka as well. Her name is actually Tenka. But yeah, definitely worth running in the deck, of course, because it definitely is a version of Toka. Next up, we have 3 copies of our early play grade 3, and that is Dignified Appearance Toka. So she's an early play if we have 4 or more Date or Spirits. She gets the -1 level in hand. When she enters the stage from hand, we can heal 1. When she enters the stage from hand, if we have another Date or Spirit character, till the end of the opponent's next turn, she's going to get 2k power. That's it. We play her for the heal. That's it. That's why I only play 3 copies. Toka's finisher is not great, but it is nice that we at least have a healer. There are characters who don't have a finisher and a healer yet. So fingers crossed they do get one. And finally, 4 copies of our grade 3 finisher. It is not great. It is a trial deck finisher, so it's better than nothing, considering there are characters who have grade 3s that don't have finishers. So she is a 3/2 date spirit. When she enters the stage from hand, till the end of your opponent's next turn, she gets plus 4/5 ability and 4/5 power, and the following ability: during this card's battle, all players cannot play backup from hand. You can pay 2, and when she reverses an opponent in battle, you can deal 1 damage to your opponent. It doesn't say in your turn, you can do it in the opponent's turn. The ability to stop her being countered is really useful, as she needs to reverse for a combo, and she gets really big the turn you play her. If you do standby her out as well, which is really nice, you can still use that effect. It's not a while it's on play, and it's not the turn it's played. It's not the best grade 3, considering that both the blue Kurumi and the red Kurumi completely blow this out of the water with their effects. But we're talking about a Toka waifu deck here, so at least we have a finisher. At this stage, Origami technically doesn't have a finisher other than the really inconsistent restander. Yoshino doesn't have a finisher. Kodori doesn't have an offensive grade 3. So we have to wait and see what else we're going to be getting for the rest of this set, as we still do have quite a few slots left before we get the full list. Moving on to our climaxes. First off, of course, we have 4 copies of In the Town Died with the Setting Sun. This is our book climax combos with our level 1. Draws us cards, obviously, when we trigger it, because it is a book trigger. And because every girl only has 1 climax, with the exception of Kurumi, who now technically has 4 climaxes across the trial deck, Bunko, and the main set, Origami has 2. We have the standby for Kurumi. Now, if this card doesn't active, Toka technically doesn't get a standby, which I think it's very unlikely that she will get a standby. I might just reskin these using a Photoshop or something, just so I can have a Toka standby with the same name, of course. Standby, when you trigger it, you can pick a character with that's your level, plus or lower, plus 1 or higher or lower than yours, and put it rest on the stage. Same thing if you play it from hand, but of course if you play it from hand, you don't get the soul trigger or any other benefits. Can be really good to help you play some bigger cards, help you cheat costs, so help us cheat out those 2 1s that we play. Can help us get our grade 3s out at level 2 if we need to. I don't know why we would, they don't really go off. The main reason is it's, well, you could play the gate in this instead if you wanted to. I honestly think standby works a lot better in this deck. It's just maintaining board presence, and of course if you start triggering standbys, you're going to be saving hand. But at the end of the day, it's completely up to you. If Toka does get another climax, we'll probably be running that over the standby just for like purity standards. But anyway, guys, that is it for the profile as of the 16th of June. Let me know you guys' thoughts on it in the comments below. Be sure to stay tuned for the updated Kurumi profile that will be up very, very soon, assuming she doesn't get any new cards tomorrow. So hopefully, guys, you will stay tuned for that. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 300 subs at the time I'm filming this video. Really appreciate you guys helping me get to 300 subs. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you for my next video.